60 Minutes Overtime.
This week on 60 Minutes, we are doing a story about the families who were holding up the home front while husbands and wives were fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq.
I didn't know whether I was coming or going.
About 600,000 Americans came home diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And what we discovered is that children very often suffer from the same symptoms.
I was just worried about a lot of different things, and it kind of evolved into kind of like a helplessness.
This 2 decades of war for the United States really began for me in 2001, September 11th, and ever since then, it has dominated my career. Watching Americans heroically sacrifice and watching their families at home make sacrifices as their fathers and mothers deployed again and again and again.
The Department of Defense announced yesterday that the 1st BCT, 34th Division, would have their tour extended for up to 125 days.
Reporting on these families takes me back to the story that we did called Fathers, Sons, and Brothers. It was about an Iowa National Guard unit that was deployed to Iraq. Shannon Foote told us she would be supermom while her husband Denver was away, but she struggled, working, living with her in-laws, raising her son, and watching Denver's tour extended.
I don't think the amount of time that he's been over there is fair.
Like many other wives we've met, she's also getting help for depression.
I wonder how common that is among the other wives.
Everyone I've talked to is really pretty common.
Lance Corporal Jonathan F. Stroud.
At one point in the war in Afghanistan, we embedded with the 2nd Battalion of the 8th Marines. 2nd Lieutenant Dan O'Hara from Chicago is a platoon leader. 2 of his Marines have been killed.
You know, I wonder how you know the enemy from the citizens around here.
Yeah, for the most part you don't until they start shooting at you.
And in 2012, we reported on veterans living in Texas who had returned from war with PTSD and broken the law.
And I'm reaching for my M16, my weapon, and I'm patting on the ground and I can't find it.
We met Kevin Thomas, a Marine who had served in Iraq.
We got the call that there was a helicopter that was down. Everybody in that perished.
What did you see?
Wreckage, carnage, bodies.
How many?
25 to 30 Marines.
6 months later, Thomas returned to his family in Houston.
I started drinking heavily, and certain symptoms of PTSD kicked in. I didn't know what was going wrong with me. I started isolating a lot, avoidance.
He lost his job and his family's trust. He was angry all the time. Eventually, he hit his wife. It was felony assault.
I was angry about unfinished business in Iraq. I wanted to go back in.
A court for veterans who are first-time felony offenders helped Thomas find treatment at a VA hospital as part of his probation. It also helped him get into college.
You know, we were with you when you took the boys out for ice cream the other day, and one of them asked you, what was it like in the Marines?
What was it like? In the Marines?
When he's a little bit older, what are you going to tell him about your experience?
I'm going to tell him that my experience and my career in the Marines was great. It's the best thing I ever did in my life.
Tragically, Kevin Thomas died in a car accident 7 months after our story aired. The most important thing for the nation to remember is that these veterans of these wars, their children and their spouses are still living through this. And that is something that none of us should ever forget.